It is absolutely frigid. Temperatures, the wind chills below zero in Dallas, just unprecedented. And Texans really are not capable of handling weather like this. So virtually everything shut down. A lot of folks are being just advised to stay home and, more importantly, stay off the roadways. You cruise here, well, they don't have as many snow plows or pieces of special removal equipment like other parts of the country. So there's only so much they can do. Every single county in Texas impacted with snow and ice stretching hundreds of miles down through Austin, as far south as Houston and San Antonio.
Fox's Casey Stiegel. In Nebraska, the National Weather Service says record lows were broken in Omaha, Lincoln, and other cities. In the Pacific Northwest, they're dealing with ice and snow. Hundreds of thousands in Oregon are without power. After former President Trump's acquittal at his impeachment trial over the weekend, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has confirmed lawmakers will set up an independent commission to review the deadly Capitol Hill riot. In a letter to colleagues, she wrote that it will be modeled after the 9/11 Commission. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo defending his response to the COVID-19 crisis after a member of his administration revealed the number of nursing home deaths from the virus may have been underreported by as much as 50%.
All the deaths in the nursing homes and in the hospitals were always fully, publicly, and accurately reported. The numbers were the numbers. Always.
Critics of his administration are calling into question the discrepancies in the numbers that were reported, and they're calling for an end to some of the emergency powers he put into place since the beginning of the pandemic. America is listening to Fox News.
Are mobile devices key to your business operations? Security, analytics, content distribution, and it all must be done remotely. Keeping track of everything is impossible, right? Actually, it isn't. The SOTI One platform gives you total visibility into your entire fleet of mobile devices. Manage and support your devices. Analyze data. Even create apps in minutes. With SOTI, you don't need siloed solutions to run your mobile ecosystem. Visit SOTI.net/Fox for a free trial for Fox News radio listeners. That's SOTI.net/Fox.
An investigation is launched inside the Los Angeles Police Department over a Valentine's Day online post.
The allegation is that someone within the LAPD shared an online Valentine's Day post with a picture of George Floyd, the man who died in police custody in Minneapolis last year, with the words on the post allegedly including, "You take my breath away." An officer complaint has launched an internal investigation over the alleged post that was reportedly generated out of the LAPD's Harbor Patrol Division. Police Chief Michael Moore calling it disgusting and saying if proven that it could result in discipline. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
An Islamic court in the Gaza Strip run by Hamas has ruled that women require the permission of a male guardian to travel. The language of the ruling also implies that a married woman would require her husband's permission to go anywhere. The move has sparked criticism online from Gaza rights groups. Tanks are on the streets in Burma as protesters continue to challenge a military coup.
Protesters sit in the street next to a military truck in Burma's largest city, Yangon. The army appeared to be much more visible today as tensions rise and protests continue against the military's seizing of power 2 weeks ago. This woman says, "When I saw the army trucks, I thought they must be afraid of us, even though we have no weapons." Meanwhile, Burma's elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who was
The new Netflix Gas lets users instantly inhale multiple seasons of TV shows. An area man is worried the nation's healthcare debate might be getting political. And a bullied 8th grader incorrectly thought classmates would leave him alone during a field trip to the 9/11 memorial. Don't mistake my kind, gentle tone for one of love or support. This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a report released this Tuesday, no one, absolutely no one, will ever stack up to your 8th grade boyfriend, Brian Bowden, who you dated for 6 weeks in middle school. A 43-page study from Stanford University confirmed that no other guy in your life will ever be as kind or caring as the 13-year-old who held your hand during the scary parts of Jurassic Park, who had that really cool chain wallet, and who bought you 2 pink carnations on Valentine's Day. The report added that while your current boyfriend does have a lot going for him, he will certainly never cut class with you to listen to the dead Kennedy's Frankenchrist on a Sony Discman. Brian used to do that with you. He used to do it all the time.
This is the Onion News Network. We turn to Washington, D.C., where America's roommates are holding a rally as part of their new One Vote Doesn't Matter political action campaign. The rally, which drew thousands of roommates, ranging from the guy who keeps all of his groceries in his room to the guy whose name the lease is under, is just a part of a surging grassroots movement to spread the message that one person's vote can't make a difference if you really, really think about it.
You know, this is like the most important election of our lifetime. We just want to get the word out that it's already been decided in some smoke-filled boardroom. You know, I pretty much minored in poli-sci, so I think I get this stuff.
Joining us now is Jason Copeland at a rally in the nation's capital. Jason, how would you describe the energy there?
Yeah, hi, Andrea. I'd say it's a definite chill vibe. I just saw the roommate whose only friend seems to be his younger brother and the guy who just has an air mattress in his room passing out flyers together. Now, the roommates do make some interesting points. The Electoral College it is weird.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Welcome. It is the Monday edition, Case of the Mondays of Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. If you would like to join in the conversation, get on the air and talk about whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me, it's
Ian.
And nobody. And we've got, well, a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. The title of the show tonight, however, is Please Cancel Culture. Because, well, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of it. You know, this whole thing where folks are just getting canceled and deplatformed left and right.
What now? Who got deplatformed now?
Well, the lead article we have tonight is, are you familiar with Rowan Atkinson, the actor who played
Mr. Bean,
Yeah.
Blackadder? Yep.
So this from Insider.com, Mr. Bean actor Rowan Atkinson compares cancel culture to medieval mob looking for someone to burn.
Except without any of the, bravery that might be involved in actually having to capture someone and burn them.
Yeah. I've got another
article. That's why they usually went after girls.
Yeah.
I've got another bit from the Evening Standard, and publishers themselves are afraid to even comment on cancel culture. So that tells you how powerful cancel culture actually is these days. We've also got a Nevada bill would seem to allow tech companies to create governments. And then within that, Blockchain LLC, which is based in Nevada, is set to become a government.
I don't know. Does it say specifically tech companies are able to?
Correct, yes.
Okay. How do they differentiate that? That's kind of strange, because I'll tell you what, the Church of the Invisible Hand would definitely love to buy a piece of land and be the only government on that land, because we wouldn't do it. We're way too lazy.
Well, and tech is so pervasive, so prevalent in society across all around the globe, unless you're a flat earther.
Yeah.
But you could be
a Flat Earther Convention brought participants from all around the globe.
You could be a pizza company and be a tech company at this point in space and time.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I guess we're a church and a tech company, so why not?
You're either changing or you're dying.
Also on deck is this article from the Seattle Times where Seattle claims they've opened their live music venues, but once you dig into it, you're like, no.
Seattle says that?
Well,
the whole town?
The city, yeah.
The city that just...
Because they've not...
Do they say it with one voice? Do they say it in unison? Do they chant it?
They probably do.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I can see them doing that. It's Seattle,
Also, I've got a story out of Pennsylvania. Another cop molests a teen girl that he met while answering an attempted suicide call.
Isn't that special?
And this was...
Was it her?
from one of
that
our
tried to kill herself.
It was, yeah. So
oh, good God,
yeah. And then one of our other hosts, who's not here tonight, shared this. Some students have been arrested for sharing the United States Constitution.
Oh yeah, I know those guys.
So we've got all that and more on deck for you tonight. We'll see how much of it we get to, but we'll, of course, post all of this to our social media channels. So if you're following that, you can. How do they get on the our Mastodon?
Social.freetalklive.com.
Thank you. Oh, it's right here in front of me on this handy chart you've made for us hosts, so we wouldn't forget things like that.
Yeah, my handwriting's not that good, though.
I appreciate your attention to detail. So kicking things off, Mr. Bean is a funny show. And
don't we have Derek J there?
Oh, we do. That's right. Before we kick off, let's go to Derek J. Hey, Derek J.
No,
Free Talk
Mr. Bean,
Live.
let's do that. I love that guy. He's so fun, and he's said a lot of great things about free speech over the years.
Really?
People look him up on YouTube. He's got a serious bent to him. He places free speech in the second place spot of most important rights. There's food is most important, free speech is second most important, and third is housing. He's like, nope. It's more important than a roof over your head. You got to be able to say what's on your mind. And yeah, I love that guy. So, but what I called about was ForkFest. ForkFest is coming. And I called Rogers Campground to book my site. It's happening June 20th to July 5th. And if you book your site now, you can get pretty much whatever one you want. And before you even do that, it's hard to book at Rogers. You have to call someone on the phone. You have to get them at the right time. But what's easy to do is to go to forkfest.com and just put yourself on the site. Because last time I called in, it was just this stupid Google form that you put in a number and your campsite name. But now it's all interactive. Remember I teased that I was doing geolocating? So you can actually find your campsite on a real looking map, a satellite style map. Well, if you go there now, and you should, maybe your web browser's cached or whatever. So you might, it might show the same site as before. But if you haven't been there before, forkfest.com, you could just add yourself right onto the map, put your name and your campsite number, and then you'll show up green. So people know you're there. And then, if you want to know who else is there, click on list of vendors, and then you can see who else is partying with you at ForkFest.
Oh, wow, man.
Wow. Can you pay in crypto?
For what?
For your campsite.
You should be able to do that. So what I wish was the case was that you go to forkfest.com and you book your site. You just pick whatever one you want. You see what's available, and you pay in Bitcoin or whatever you like to use. And it's just done. Someone takes care of it for you. We're not there yet.
Okay.
This is how far we are. But yeah, I see that as the way this is going, because it's so painful right now. It's so communist, actually, the way it works. They're all the same price, and that shouldn't be that way. And it doesn't matter what time you pick your site. There's no negotiation. There's no there should be an auction for certain campsites or something, so they get the most money.
Right.
Whoever thinks they can make the most money at that site actually gets it. So
ForkFest.com could buy the campground, and then it could do all those things.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be smart for ForkFest.com to just
I thought it was
do the bookings for people.
Party.
Oh no, ForkFest.party is awesome. People should go there for
site.
Everything ForkFest related.
There's 2 ForkFest sites now.
Groovy.
Yeah, well, ForkFest, they don't replace each other.
The ForkFest site is forked.
Well, it never forked. There was always, the open invitation for other people to have sites.
Hey, Derek, I think I did it right. I went to forkfest.com, and I see the map, and I see some campsites that appear to be green circles.
And did you add yourself?
I did not.
Oh, why not? You could do it right now.
Well, I don't have a campsite yet.
Oh, just pick one.
Well,
whatever one you want.
I may go the Hoity route and do a hotel room. I don't know.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I haven't decided
yet.
Is
Free Talk Live going to be there?
Yeah, we are, but we haven't locked down the site yet. So I wouldn't want to submit something if I haven't locked the site down 100%. So once that's done, then we'll add. So obviously the first user experience feedback here, Derek J, is you can't click on the campsites. That's the thing I tried to do, and it didn't do anything. So I'm guessing that's coming, do you think, where if you click on an occupied site, it'll show you who's there?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't figured that out yet. We have list of vendors. You can click on list of vendors and see
that's cool
there. But I can't figure out how yet to make the clicky thing pop up with something fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see Space Disco.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Space Disco's at Site 57, so the big dome is going to be where it was last year.
Did I hear the dome's getting an upgrade of some sort?
Yeah, get this. So last year and the year before, we had like a big blue tarp that we got at Home Depot. And this year, we ordered a special designed white on the outside, black on the inside tarp. So it's going to be all dark inside, but like it'll stay cool because it reflects the sun. It's going to be great.
Cool. Hey, you got more to say? You want to hang out?
No, that's it. Forkfest.com.
Awesome.
Thanks, Derek J.
Appreciate it, Derek J. Take care. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio is great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. It is the Monday night edition. The telephone number you need, the 10 digits for freedom, are 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation and get on the air to talk about whatever's on your mind. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And Ian.
And nobody.
And I just wanted to give another shout out to Derek J. for his call about what he's done with Forkfest.com. And those guys are pretty cool. They're Derek J. is with the AnyPay crew.
Yeah.
And
love it.
They do a lot of really cool stuff, so we appreciate that. But swinging back to Mr. Bean. He's in the headlines. Mr. Bean actor Rowan Atkinson compares cancel culture to a medieval mob looking for someone to burn.
Wow. They're going to be upset about that. I hope they don't flick the bean.
or spill it.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. A British actor and comedian, Rowan Atkinson, has become the latest celebrity to criticize so-called cancel culture. During an extensive interview with Radio Times, Atkinson, who is best known for his satirical Mr. Bean character, said cancel culture was eroding freedom of speech and made him fearful for the future. It's important that we're exposed to a wide spectrum of opinion, but what we have now is the digital equivalent of the medieval mob roaming the streets looking for someone to burn, he said. So it is scary for anyone who's a victim of that mob, and it fills me with fear about the future.
Well, the best thing you can do is take action, okay? So don't wait around for, some big tech company to decide that they don't want you anymore and, cancel, or some mob to come after you on the internet and demand that you be canceled. Go ahead and secure independent means of communication now. If social media is valuable to you, you ought to be doing something like a Mastodon instance. You could run your own if you've got the chops, or if you know somebody who's got the chops. If not, you can join one of thousands existing out there, and that gives you a heck of a lot more security over social media posts. YouTube channels, get over on LBRY, LBRY.com.
LBRY's great.
That gives you, basically, you can't be touched at that point. It's amazing.
Oh, and I heard Parler's back online today.
Now, that doesn't impress me, but okay, good for them.
I know, but I'm just saying, there are alternatives to social media.
Yeah, but it's just another centralized platform, though. I mean,
it?
Parler, yeah, that's exactly what Parler is. It's just another
Well, no wonder
company.
I don't belong to it.
If it wasn't all centralized, they wouldn't have been able to kick it off.
Right. Now, again, Mastodon is also technically centralized in that there are central servers that you connect to.
Right.
However, it's also polycentric in that there are thousands of them. So,
So technically it's polycentric.
Correct.
And then, of course, we've got Mastodon. There's Telegram, which
centralized service,
it's centralized, but it's
run by a
still
Russian anarchist, so
Right.
it's better than some of the other centralized services. We've used it successfully here for a long time, but Matrix is your better option if you want more decentralization of chat. And we've got a Matrix server over at chat.freetalklive.com, and then we have our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com. So we've launched the tools. You can do it yourself if you want to, and the tools are out there, and they're pretty darn good at this point. So that's something you can do. You can take action right now, and then use your existing social media or big tech media accounts like your YouTube channel to promote your library. Use it to promote your Mastodon account. And get the word out before they pull the plug. If Donald Trump, for instance, had done that, if he had gone ahead and launched Trump.com social or whatever,
right, yeah.
He'd have been sitting pretty when
He'd
Twitter
have been
came
king
along.
of the hill for sure. Yeah. Is there a social media site, like a meta social media site that I can join that will join me up to all of the social media sites?
I don't think so. No,
not yet.
Developers, get on it. At any rate, the 66-year-old actor, Rowan Atkinson, who is also known for his role in the satirical Johnny English films, as well as his long-standing collaborations with writer Richard Curtis, blamed social media companies and their algorithms for creating a binary and toxic environment online. The problem we have online is that an algorithm decides what we want to see, which ends up creating simplistic binary views of society, he said. It becomes a case of either you're with us or against us. And if you're against us, you deserve to be canceled. And, I mean, that seems to be the case, right? We saw that with Kara, I forget her last name. She's in The Mandalorian. We spoke about it on Saturday's show?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And she was canceled for just calling to the attention the history of how government actually got the public to really sort of hate the Jews, and that's how it was easy for them to round them up, because they had published so much propaganda about it that their neighbors were the ones beating, the neighbors were the ones, you know what I mean, shouting at them in the streets and, all that kind of stuff. So, and
they've been trying to do the same thing to libertarians and conservatives.
Exactly. So,
mostly conservatives, but it spills over on libertarians because people don't understand that even more than two views exist. I was arguing with this idiot nurse in New York, over Twitter, and we were arguing about masks, and then I said something about the vaccine, and he was like, "Well, didn't your dear leader bring in the vaccine?" And I was like, "Jo Jorgensen? I don't think she had anything to do with the vaccine."
Who was he referring to? Trump?
Yeah, he assumed I was a Trump supporter because I disagreed with him on, whether a piece of cloth over my mouth was going to protect me against a virus that doesn't even seem to exist in Keene.
Trump supported masks. He wore them.
Yeah. But if you differ from the orthodoxy in anything, that's why they immediately paint you as a Trump supporter, and that's why they had to so carefully spread the lie that Trump was a racist. And I never got that impression from him.
That's what Mr. Bean is saying here, Rowan Atkinson. He's saying, it ends up creating a simplistic binary view of society, and that's precisely what we have. During the election, people were like, there's another party? Like, there have been more than two parties for probably longer than I've been alive, but nobody seems to realize it. Nobody seems to care. Not nobody, but you know what I mean.
I do. Nobody understands you. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Nobody's listening.
Nobody's listening, and nobody cares.
Atkinson has in the past campaigned to protect the public's rights to free speech and spent many years campaigning against legislation that made it an offense in the UK to incite religious hatred.
He ought to go down to Speaker's Corner, where they're now prohibiting speech.
Yes, he should.
Yeah, which is there in, I believe, London.
Well, they'll probably club him too.
During a 2012 video, he said that people must have the right to insult or offend, which,
indeed,
as a comedic personality, I agree with him wholeheartedly, if not wholeheartedly and a half heart to go along with it.
Bugger Allah.
All right. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at shiresociety.com. That's shiresociety.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is the Monday night version of Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk show where you can talk about whatever's on your mind. The 10 digits you need to get on the radio with us are 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And the dentally intact nobody.
That's an inside joke for the chat room.
It sure is.
Go to chat.freetalklive.com.
In fact, one of my unwritten parodies was Quiet Riot's Mental Health, but it was going to be dental health. Right?
That would be a good one for Vermin Supreme's campaign.
Oh, yeah.
He's pushing
mandatory
for
toothbrushing.
Mandatory toothbrushing laws. Huh. Bang your head. Dental health will drive you mad.
Yeah, you get the idea. We've been talking about this article from Insider.com where the actor Rowan Atkinson, who's better known as Mr. Bean, is speaking out against cancel culture. And apparently he has, he has a history of speaking out against anything that sort of hinders free speech. He's a very big free speech proponent. He has in the past campaigned to protect the public's right to free speech and spent many years campaigning against legislation, etc., and so on. During the same interview with Radio Times, Atkinson also revealed that he doesn't enjoy playing his classic Mr. Bean role. He says, "I don't much enjoy playing him. The weight of responsibility is not pleasant. I find it stressful and exhausting, and I look forward to the end of it."
The weight of responsibility.
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
I mean, when you're playing the same character for, what's it been, 40 years or something, man? He's 66, so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you got to keep playing it the same way. Yeah. But, it's not like the world's going to crash and burn if you don't.
You only have so much time. He wants to do other things.
Yeah.
True.
He's been there, done that.
He's old.
Mm-hmm.
While we're talking about cancel culture, this from standard.co.uk. The war on words, how cancel culture is taking over the literary world. Books pulled the last minute and staff threatening to strike because they disagree with J.K. Rowling. Katie Law reports on how publishing went woke.
See, start a publishing house.
It's
if
easier
they
than
dump
ever.
her publisher.
Wow, that's a good idea.
It really is.
Self-publishing, is sort of a thing these days.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Is it like self-filleting?
Well, self-publishing is one step, but then again, if they're counseling a lot of authors, then it no longer has to be self-publishing. You can, get a whole stable of these canceled authors and sell to the people who aren't wussies.
I thought self-pub was just, having your own bar in your house. Self-pub was having your own bar in your house.
Yes, it's true.
Do you guys remember, was it Loom Panics, the old book company back in the day that used to sell like really crazy radical books like, how to kill somebody or how to make drugs and, how to make a bomb?
I remember Paladin
Press is the one I remember as well. They had, I think they carried the Anarchist Cookbook for a
that
short
kind
period
of
of time. But they used to carry like how to make, like ninja style weapons and stuff like that in your own home, the smoke bombs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Loom Panics was another one. Wikipedia says they specialized in nonfiction, generally unconventional and controversial topics, drugs, weapons, anarchism, sex, conspiracy theories, and so on.
How come I've never heard of this?
Like my Saturday night.
They sound wonderful.
Yeah, they used to have one of those, catalogs they'd come out with the newspaper pages, like 100 pages long, just full of all kinds of weird, unusual books.
I just today I'm like, man, I'm getting old. But like every now and again something pops up. I'm like, how did I not know about this?
Paladin Press bought the rights to Loom Panics when they went out of business in 2006.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wow.
So now you know.
It all comes full circle.
Are they still around? Or is Paladin Press still a thing? Nope, defunct as of 2018.
Wow.
So I guess the world needs a good publisher.
So this article from standard.co.uk, who would have thought that in 2021, as cancel culture becomes the new norm, the effect on authors has been to plunge the literary world into a freedom of speech crisis? Author Lionel Shriver calls it a quasi-Soviet phenomenon. A writer says or writes something controversial on social media, in print, or on TV. The news breaks, the crowd bays for blood, the tide turns, and the writer is canceled, shunned, or left with a badly damaged reputation. In the past year, high-profile authors targeted include J.K. Rowling, Jordan Peterson, Janine Cummins, and Julie Burchill. And there are plenty more, many of whom we have never heard of. Some are deemed to have committed worse crimes than others, resulting in anything from mild censorship to accusations of insensitivity, cultural appropriation, misogyny, racism, or transphobia, while others have had their book contracts revoked. And writers must learn to navigate this moralistic new world.
How did everything become a phobia? I mean, you can disagree with somebody without being afraid of them.
Oh, you're just anti-speech.
Yes.
You're afraid
I'm
of speech.
speech phobic.
You're speech phobic, yeah. You're a literary phobic. I'm making up new words here.
You are.
I'm trying to anyway, but it's not going very well.
Yeah. Keep working on it, bro.
Okay.
You'll get it.
I think people are taking this all way too seriously,
Oh,
and they're
for
acting like this. Oh my God, I lost my Twitter account. They're giving Twitter and Facebook and whatever publishers we're talking about here that might have canceled, say, J.K. Rowling or whoever. They're giving them too much power. These are old models. Okay, publishing is an old model, just like newspapers are an old model. These things are going to go away. Now, obviously, Twitter's not
radio
old.
is an old model, but it would certainly change your life if suddenly Free Talk Live got canceled.
Well, radio is also having a tough time, and
it is.
If Free Talk Live gets canceled, then that's just how it is. You gotta change. You've got to go on a different platform, create your own platform or whatever. People are taking it way too seriously. Look, I understand that Twitter is a newer platform, but it's more than a decade old now, at this point. It's an old guard big tech company at this point.
Right.
And so all you got to do is just pivot, and you're better off pivoting beforehand. And don't give them this power, because what this leads to is like what we heard Chris Cantwell talking about, the racist Nazi guy, former host of the show we kicked off a long time ago.
We canceled him.
Yeah. He wanted the government to get involved. He wanted the government, and he's not the only one. There's people that want the government to come in and say, "Oh no, Twitter, oh no, Facebook, you have to allow people to have these opinions. You have to allow people to have an account. It's a public service now, not a private company." That sort of thing.
The market will provide, and to that extent, it does. There are, probably hundreds of competing social medias. None of them as big as Facebook, of course, but
there are only 2 social medias that are covered by the mainstream media. The mainstream media talks about Twitter and they talk about Facebook. Any other platform they talk about is to say it's evil and everyone on it is a white supremacist.
No, that's true.
Well, there's your clue that none of those places are worth going to.
Well, that's true unless you want people to hear about you or read your work or you want to make a living.
Well, that's the mythology, at least. I beg to differ. I think that if you've got people who are getting taken down, that's probably some of the best publicity they've gotten in recent months or years. I mean, when those takedowns happen, people blow up about it.
Yep.
Now, there's probably some people who don't have a large audience to blow up about, but there's some benefits to getting taken down from these sites, and that is if you can pivot, you can bring some people under a new platform that you have control over.
Yeah, that's true. 603-283-6160. Coming up, a Nevada bill would allow tech companies to create governments?
Only tech companies?
More coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, "If you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid." This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card, and the sign-up bonus, enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191.
Free Talk Live.
When you speak of the federal government, I can tell you a few things about it because I survived 34 years of it before I retired 2 years ago.
Ew,
and
sorry to hear about
maintained
that.
my sanity.
Congratulations. Who did you work for?
I worked for the Department of Defense. It's a criminal enterprise from top to bottom. There was unethical behavior going on there. There were people doing criminal things. I mean, outright larceny, graft. I could just go on.
Yeah, and that's just your bureaucracy. It's the same way everywhere else in every other government department.
And I tell you, this is a microcosm. If it's that way where I was, you know the entire federal government's that way from the very top to the very bottom.
When we talk to former police officers, they've told us that usually
I did that too for 7 years out there.
They've told us that in their experience, usually the worst rise up through the ranks. Would you say that's accurate from your experience?
Absolutely.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the show. It is the Monday night edition of Free Talk Live. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join us on the air. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignorance of this important world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com. And isn't Bitcoin Cash seeing a big spike right about now?
A lot of altcoins, as they call them, the things that are not the original Bitcoin BTC, have been spiking, including Dash and Bitcoin Cash and I think Stellar Lumens.
Went up like 14% 2 days ago and another 10% yesterday. It was...
Oh, and that FIO token that I got in the Edge wallet has spiked as well.
That's
all over the place.
That's always going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, but this, I mean, it's been going up, and like I'm finally in the.
Do you have some of it? Because I don't have any of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of it at like 8 cents or something.
What is it now?
Like 15.
Okay.
You know. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of these things are going to go up against the dollar. I mean, it's just a guarantee, almost a guarantee at least, because they're going to keep printing the dollars.
I sure
But
hope
the
so.
important thing is that they go up against Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has become a scam, and it needs to be put in its place because it can only do 7 transactions a second. And I keep saying that because, I mean, that was my first thought when you told me about Bitcoin years ago in like 2012. You said, you said the blocks are every 10 minutes. And I said, every 10 minutes?
Yeah, slow.
And you said there's a certain size. So I said, how many transactions can it do? And you said, I think it can do 7 transactions a second. And I said, 7 transactions a second? That's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's still there a decade later. But luckily, there's 10,000 other cryptocurrencies, all of which can do more than 7 transactions per second.
Well, and here in Keene, where I like to say we live in the future, because we can do things like pay for our dinner, go to a convenience store, have our car fixed, and pay with cryptocurrency.
I did all of those things like within the last week here.
And we don't even have to pay a $30 fee to pay for our breakfast.
Because we use stuff like BCH or Bitcoin Cash, Dash, and some others as well.
Anything not BTC.
Right.
Or ETH.
Before the break, I teased an article about a Nevada bill that will allow tech companies to possibly create governments. But I wanted to just wrap up because I didn't make the point of this article, which is that the author of this article says, almost everyone I spoke to for this article, and this is about cancel culture and publishers specifically, almost everyone I spoke to for this article was nervous about expressing their views openly while publishers were not prepared to talk on the record. What does that tell us?
It tells us
they should have interviewed me. I'll talk on the record. I have no F's.
It tells us that people are a bunch of cowards.
Yeah.
I mean, by and large, they are just chicken S about what other people are going to think about what they think. And it's stupid.
I agree.
It's a shame.
People like having careers, though. I mean, it's important. You spend a lot of time building.
Hey, if you're willing to sell out for a career, then go right ahead. There's money to be made. There's all kinds of careers. Yep, all kinds of them. New Hampshire's got all kinds of places hiring right now, for instance. You could go work for the defense industry, probably make a bunch of money.
I could.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of jobs out
and
there.
I could leave back doors and booby prizes in their code. Now that I've said that, of course, I won't get hired.
Right. I know, you just wanted to say booby on the air. It's fine. This article from mynews4.com out of Nevada. Nevada bill would allow tech companies to create governments. What?
And this is just a bill.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, it's only a bill.
It's not
and
quite
it's
yet on
sitting
Capitol Hill.
there on Capitol
No, it
Hill.
hasn't made it to Capitol Hill yet.
No, this is Nevada.
Yeah. Planned legislation to establish new business areas in Nevada would allow technology companies to effectively form separate local governments. Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak, is that like Sisoline? Sisolak? S-I-S-O-L-A-K.
We're bringing back the company town, boys.
That's right. He announced plan to launch so-called innovation zones in Nevada to jumpstart the state's economy by attracting technology firms.
But think about it. Okay, say that McKay, the guy who ran Whole Foods, who's a libertarian, or supposedly Larry Ellison, who runs Oracle, is a libertarian. What if one of them starts a company town and their idea of being a government is don't?
Well, great.
That
I know
could
that's
be a wonderful thing.
That's what our co-host Mark Edge has been doing, trying to go around the world. And
what's the guy? Keep Key, Shapeshift,
Eric
Voorhees. Thank you. Yeah. What if he? He claims to be a libertarian still.
Sure.
Yeah, could be.
So,
well, hey, this is
Elon Musk. He could be a libertarian while being on welfare.
Surely that's all going to be possible under this Democrat governor's control.
Shirley. Did you call me Shirley?
No.
Oh, okay.
Shirley, you just.
Yeah.
Did you just call me Shirley?
I did.
All right. It's about time somebody did.
Anytime, Shirley.
The zones would permit companies with large areas of land to form governments carrying the same authority as counties, including the ability to impose taxes, form school districts and courts, and provide government services. So perhaps we could see something that resembles a crypto nation arise out of this.
It's possible.
where
we need to start one of these in New Hampshire.
Indeed, where you only pay for the amount of government services that you deem are necessary for yourself and or your family, not everything which is imposed upon you by politicians who say so.
Yeah, and if you want to impose something on somebody else, pay for it.
Right.
Every dime that it costs, you pay for it. None of these people. I do that to the anti-abortion people all the time. It's like, well, I'm not going to pay for your laws, so are you going to shell out your own money to pay for it? Are you going to go to war and with these people and shed your own blood?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, well, all right then, shut up.
End of argument. Bam. Mic drop. No, please don't do any mic dropping. I hate the term mic drop, because obviously anybody who's ever dropped a microphone has never purchased a microphone.
Well, either that or they have enough money that
to not care, right?
They don't care, or maybe it's not their microphone. The first
That's what I'm saying.
The first mic drop I can think of, that the first time I remember seeing it was when they were giving some girl a Grammy or an Emmy or something, and some guy came up on stage and he was all irate about it. Who was that?
I have no idea.
Do you remember?
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Okay, it was a race thing. They thought he thought they should have given it to a black person.
Oh. Well,
for some reason, I don't know why.
I have the same problem with the rock stars who smash guitars on stage, like
the Who.
Yes.
Just because it pains you to see a good guitar get smashed?
Yeah, I mean, now some people will use, sort of a broken guitar or, a guitar that's, no longer worth anything, that the roadie will hand them this,
right, yeah, we'll change it out.
Yeah, this sort of stand-in stunt guitar, you know what I mean, where it's all like perforated already to break apart easily and stuff like that. But, and that's just taking showmanship to a different level. But if it's the guitar the dude has been playing, and it's a nice guitar, it's a name brand, it's a neck through, it's thousands of dollars for a regular guy to buy, and then they smash it on stage, I'm like, no, why? Right? I have a little moment of mourning at that point, because it's sad. Anyway, this measure to further economic development with the alternative form of local government has not been introduced to the legislature just yet.
But it's being pitched by the governor?
Yeah.
Wow.
Governor Steve Sisolak. Whatever, I'm butchering his name. But, yeah. 603-283-6160. More on this coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's not over. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. After former President Trump's acquittal over the weekend in his impeachment trial, a commission will be formed to investigate the deadly attack at the U.S. Capitol.
Speaker Pelosi says the commission will be a 9/11-style body that will dig into the facts and causes of the Capitol storming on January 6th. The announcement comes as a review of Capitol security is ongoing and Senate hearings are set for later this month. Speaker Pelosi, in her letter announcing that having the commission expresses a need to get to the truth behind the riot. The makeup of the commission has not been determined, but the 9/11 Commission, formed back in 2002, had 10 members with 5 Republicans and Democrats each. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Billions of people across the country dealing with record-breaking cold, snow, and ice. In Texas, energy companies have put rolling blackouts in place as they can't keep up with power demand. At least one person has died in the state. Police in Harris County say a homeless man died from exposure. In Detroit, they're preparing for a major snowfall.
We think we're going to get 6 to 10 inches of snow. That's the prediction. It'll come in and we'll supposed to stop sometime tomorrow morning. As always, our crews will salt and plow the main roads from the start of the storm till the end.
Mayor Mike Duggan. In Kentucky, Governor Andy Beshear is urging people to stay off the roads. Over a half foot of snow and ice is expected there. In Chicago, the city is keeping warming centers open. Forecasters are predicting as much as a foot of snow. A winter storm warning is in effect for northern Illinois. A civilian contractor is dead and at least 8 others were wounded, including a U.S. service member, after a rocket attack on a U.S.-led military base in northern Iraq. It's the most deadly attack to hit U.S.-led forces in Iraq in almost a year. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office, 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
Charges for 2 people who had weapons near the White House.
Law enforcement officials say a man and a woman were taken into custody after they approached a checkpoint near the White House on Saturday. The woman, 66-year-old Sylvia Hall, told police she had a letter for President Biden. Officials say police found a loaded weapon in her vehicle nearby. Hall faces charges of carrying a pistol without a license and possession of an unregistered firearm and ammunition. The man, who has not been identified, was arrested for carrying a BB gun. The Secret Service says President Biden was not in danger. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has won a $1 million award from a private Israeli foundation for what it says is his courageous defense of science during the pandemic and for his over half-century of research for HIV and AIDS relief and for his advocacy for vaccines to be distributed for millions of people in the fight against COVID-19. The pandemic is being blamed for an increase in overdoses.
Overall, ER visits plummeted as much of the nation locked down and Americans tried to avoid contracting COVID at the hospital. But despite that, trips for drug overdoses were higher in 2020 than the year before, according to a recent study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which studied more than 180 million ER visits for a nearly 2-year period and found weekly count of drug overdoses 45% higher last year than in 2019. Opioid overdoses jumped about 29%. There was also an increase.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America. as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
An alarming new study finds that people suffering from stress-related disorders react poorly to being trapped in underwater elevators. A tired 398-month-old throws a tantrum, and a little clay thing is purchased at an arts festival. And now an eerily perfect recap of this week's news. The Catholic Church reversed its long-held stance against gay marriage this week after meeting Connecticut couple Tony and Craig. The vacationing pair dazzled the Pope and assorted clergy with their witty conversation and true loving affection for each other, leading Vatican officials to conclude that love is love and it's silly to put restrictions on it in this day and age. The Chinese people announced that they would be willing to forgive most of the United States' $1.16 trillion debt if Americans agreed to dress up in costumes and perform silly dances for them. Chinese officials encouraged U.S. citizens to wear sequined vests and prance around while slapping their big fat American tummies, promising that the more humiliating the performance, the more debt will be erased. In sports, NASCAR fans are deeply puzzled by a mysterious black family seen attending multiple races.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show. It is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the magic number you need to call in, get on the air, talk about whatever's on your mind.
And there upon the stool, there's a sight to make you drool.
Is that a sample?
Yeah. 7 virgins and a mule. Keep it cool, keep it cool.
The potty humor. It's never ending here on Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And we were talking about this proposed bill in Nevada by the governor of all people that may allow tech companies to sort of be their own governments in certain zones.
Oh, governors. Did we mention that the governor of Florida told Biden to go screw himself?
That's alleged.
Yeah, we talked about it on Saturday. Yeah,
There's no real proof for that one. It's just one website.
There's one article. We did go through the article on Saturday's show. If you missed that show, you can find it at freetalklive.com in the archives, or archive.freetalklive.com. As well as any of our other shows from the
website
past.
Claims their source is legit, but there's no real way to validate it.
I want to get a printout of that quote, and I want to bring it next time we go to Sununu's house and basically say, this is what Sununu would have said if he had any balls.
Yeah, that is a matter of fact. So before we continue on with this article out of Nevada, let's go to Jay calling from New Hampshire. Jay, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Jay.
So anyways, as many of the listeners would may recall, I've, been involved in some battles with town of Palmer, and now we got one brewing with the town of Henniker, New Hampshire.
Oh, what's going on?
So I sent Ian on Telegram a couple photos of a letter I just got from him today. And it's from a law firm that, is some classic, law firm here in New Hampshire that these guys, towns use. And they're telling me I got 14 days to clean up all the junk in my yard.
What?
Or I'm going to face a penalty and a fine. So, or they're going to actually bring a lawsuit against me, but they said if we do prevail, you're going to be fined $260 a day. Sorry, it's my daughter making some noise in the background. And you're going to be fined $500 for each additional offense. And the first offense is the first day. The second offense is the second day. And it's like, per item. But, it's like record cold. There's a whole bunch of snow. So first off, how are you supposed to even, somebody's supposed to clean up something in New Hampshire in 2 weeks? But that part I don't even care about, because who is the town of Henniker to tell me what to do?
Right. I was going to say, you own property there, and, unless, is it some kind of an eyesore from the road or something? I don't understand why anybody would even be concerned with your property.
So all of you guys in the studio have been to my property.
Yeah, you can't see anything from the road.
Right. You can't see anything from I got a busybody neighbor who, in fact, from his house, you can barely see anything. But, he's all about giving the, his name's Jeff Buxton, if anybody wants to check him out. He's just like,
do you have his number?
Dude, no, I don't have his number, but probably could find it. But he he's all upset because, I've got a gun range here and we shoot guns.
Yeah.
And I also share a driveway with him. And when I first bought the house, the first conversation he had, he said, "I hate all free staters."
Wow.
Okay.
But,
Where's he from?
He had some issues with previous people who were here.
Where's he from?
And
Jay,
say that again.
Where's he from?
He is I guess he's from New Hampshire. He bought his property in like 1980 something. Where he is next door.
Yeah.
He did tell one of my friends here, in fact, one of our friends, Silver Dave, he says, "Oh, I hate you people." Well, I love to hate you people. That's what he says. I'm sorry.
Wow.
But it's like
sick.
It's a sad situation with him.
Now, Jay, I know that I've heard you because, you've been on this show before, and I'm familiar with some of your, defenses that you like to talk about. Have you deployed any of that? Have you, sent a letter back to the city saying, "Hey, I'm happy to comply, and I'm going to bill you at this rate for compliance," or something along those lines?
Well, it's funny. They used the word compliance several times in their letter. It's like some kind of, I imagine it's like some lawyer who works for Dr. Evil that's writing these letters. But so in the summer, the town sent me a letter saying, "Hey, we need to talk to you. Looks like you're running the junkyard." So I had a meeting, actually Ernie Hancock and I, because Ernie spent a lot of time at my place last summer.
Yeah.
Ernie Hancock and I went and had a sit-down meeting with the town administrator for probably a good hour. And I did draft up a written response. My response was,
did you get that meeting on video, Jay? Did you get that meeting on video with the town administrator?
We did not. No, we didn't get the meeting on video.
Why not? By the way, we're losing your signal pretty bad here.
I honestly didn't even think about it. It was just like we were going in there to...
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to get all this stuff on the record. You got to. I mean, you get plenty of people around who can help hold a video camera.
What I got on the record was in writing, and I do have that on the record.
Okay.
And what I asked the town for was some public records requests. I asked them to explain who they are, so they sent me a copy of the town charter.
Okay.
And actually, in part of the town charter, it says no part of this charter shall be used against private property, which is pretty interesting. And when I asked them for what evidence they have that I'm subject to this statute that they're quoting, they sent me a photocopy of, if you go to the town and you ask for like the tax, the zoning card, it tells you all about your house and has like a picture of your house and all the square footage and all the dimensions and all the tax worth and all that. They gave me that thing. I can't remember what they call it, but basically the tax card.
Yeah, they didn't actually respond to your inquiry there.
No, they didn't respond to anything. And actually, the zoning officer, his name is Mark Frazio, one of the things I asked for was a copy of his oath of office. And they said, "Oh, he's not an elected official. He doesn't have an oath of office."
Oh, really?
So that's going to be interesting. These guys are operating without an oath of office. But you were doing an article on how these private corporations are going to become governments or set up governments in power to collect taxes. That's been going on since 1939 in this country. These municipal corporations, they're not governments. They're governmental. I'll refer again to the case I've mentioned several times in Massachusetts where the ACLU tried to get some public records requests from the state police, and the state police said, no, we're not part of the government. We don't need to comply with the Constitution.
Wow.
We're not subject to that. We're actually a private corporation. We're a charity. We're a law enforcement council. And if you internet search ACLU, Massachusetts State Police, Jack Collins, you'll and just private corporations or private charity, it'll pop up really quick, and anybody can read the case. It's right there. So this is the road I've been going down with these guys, is that we don't have a government. This is not a government for the people and by the people. What this is I call it a religious death cult. If you don't, make your annual mandatory tithings, land property tax, well, they're going to send people with instruments of death and torture to either torture you or kill you until you comply.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
So I just got a letter for those guys asking me for compliance. And, in the letter I did give them before is I did give them a fee schedule, and I charged $50,000 an hour. And I also got their bonding information. So my time's very valuable to me. And I call it $50,000 an hour. And, if they're going to force me to do something, then they have to pay me for it.
Keep us in the loop on this.
You should also bill them for the time you spend responding to them.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
$50,000 an hour.
Yep. 603-283-6160. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is the Monday night edition of Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. We have no real rules other than what the FCC imposes upon us, so that means, no bad words, no dirty words. The 7 words that George Carlin made famous, those are the ones you can't use. So outside of that, it's open phones. We've got some folks that we'll get to here shortly. The 10 digits you need if you want to join us is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
Is something funny?
Yeah, I'm laughing at the chat room.
Oh.
I mean, that's funny. It's a photo of nobody right now. Somebody took a screen cap.
Chat.freetalklive.com if you would.
Nobody is laid back like a dead fly.
I don't bother nobody. I'm a real nice guy, kind of laid back like
bothers
a
me.
dead fly. That's right. That's the Rappin' Duke, by the way, if you're not familiar. Go Google that, or DuckDuckGo, preferably. At any rate, we've been talking about this article from my4news.com where the state of Nevada, the governor specifically, is pitching a concept in his State of the State House address that a plan would bring in new business at the forefront of groundbreaking technologies without the use of tax abatements or other publicly funded incentive packages that previously helped Nevada attract companies like Tesla Incorporated. And this bill, they specifically named Blockchain LLC, and we'll talk more about that because I have a complimentary article to this one about blockchain and what they're doing in Nevada. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Hadding calling from Florida. Hadding, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello. My second experience on Free Talk Live. Last time, after I heard that this is the show where I get to determine what I discuss, I was instructed specifically what I must answer and then was cut off by your co-host, Mr. DeMezzo. So I hope maybe I'll get to say actually something that I want to say this time.
Well, you're going pretty good so far, so what's on your mind?
Yeah, great. Well, by the way, I did hear Scott, the Jewish anti-Semite, on Rush Limbaugh last week. That was highly entertaining.
Yeah, we call him STB here in the studio.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I listened to your show a couple of days ago. I downloaded them and listened to them. And you talked about Gina Carano.
Yep.
She said, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. The government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. And you guys thought that was pretty righteous. And Mr. Freeman there thought there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there's plenty wrong with that. It's pure caricature and propaganda. Most Germans under Hitler's rule never did arrive at the point of hating their Jewish neighbors. In fact, Himmler, in 1943, he gave a speech in Posen in October 1943. It's called Himmler's Second Posen Speech. And he said, we're going to have some problems with rounding up Jews and putting them in camps because every German has a favorite Jew. He's going to say, oh, those other Jews are troublemakers, but here's a first-rate Jew. He's a good guy, you know. So it's not as simple as this, right, as what she was saying. She was repeating old propaganda. Also, she talks as if every day.
Hang on a minute, Heading. You're forgetting about the question she asked. The question she asked was, how is this any different from hating people for their political views?
Well, you see, the thing is, I'm going to get to that. She's trying to take a piece of propaganda that was cooked up specifically to be used against right-wingers and against conservatives, essentially against opponents of Jewish power.
Well, I don't think she said that most people were doing that. She's trying to use it in the opposite direction. She's trying to apply it in an opposite direction. Yeah. And it seems like every time right-wingers try to do this, they try to invoke the Holocaust for some cause that they like, they get slapped down. They get told, you can't do that. Why? Because basically Jews own this thing, right? What?
And Jews that are behind Antifa. All right, it's very much.
So you're a Jewish conspiracy theorist?
It's fact, man. Do you know what the ADL is? The ADL is what's behind this.
He's one of Scott's people.
I see. So
no. Scott is an anti-Semitic Jew. I'm not one of those people. You know, I find.
Are you anti-Semitic?
Correct. Well, I don't use that word. See, you put that word on.
Are you anti-Jewish?
I would say I am a critic of Jewish power. Absolutely.
Okay, what about other power? Is it okay? Is power okay to have for other people, like Christians? What? Is it okay for Christians to have power?
Christians holding power don't generally do things that are destructive to my interests. Jewish power is involved in things like promoting immigration and demographic change. Very aggressively, they're interested in that.
Oh, I see. So Christian power, that's okay.
Themselves as having an adversarial relationship to their host population.
How about Muslims with power?
We don't have that problem. But even so, it wouldn't be as big a deal because let me explain. Somebody you could read if you were really interested in this is Kevin McDonald because he's an evolutionary psychologist and he has studied the fact that Jews have evolved into this adversarial relationship with their host populations. They have to try to keep their host populations.
I know plenty of Jews who are not my adversaries. So, I mean, all of this talk about people are like this because they were born into a certain group is just so despicable and so just thoughtless and really lame.
Yeah, well, you have to look at the big picture. But I have other points to make.
I don't have to do anything you say.
That's a fact. Do you like comedy, Heading?
The big picture. You're certainly free to do that. You're free to be ignorant.
Heading, the ignorant calling us ignorant. That's
I'm not ignorant of my relationships with other people and other human beings who do not meet the descriptions you're talking about. They're Jewish, but they're not trying to control me.
Yeah, Heading, do you enjoy comedy at all?
Oh God.
Let me stay on subject. See, this is like before when Mr. DeMezzo kept
I'm sorry, I thought we were having a conversation.
He thinks he can just have a lecture, and he doesn't understand this is supposed to be a conversation.
I was told this is the show where I get to determine what I'm going to say.
And now we can determine to say goodbye.
This is also a conversation, and so I've asked you a question generally that requires an answer.
Yeah, I like some comedy, but,
like what?
What's that have to do with anything?
Well, I mean, there's some really funny Jewish comedians.
Yeah, okay. Does that change what the ADL does with YouTube and the promotion of? Does that make all this worthwhile?
It's an illustration that your desire to lump all people of one kind into a bucket and call them names is false.
Oh, he's so intellectual, though.
Yeah, I think I've had enough of that.
He's done research, Captain. Don't you understand?
I've had enough of that guy, so.
You took him for a lot longer than I would have. So.
Yeah, well, it is Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
At any rate, the lateral statements lumping folks into a category because of either their ethnicity or their culture is hateful, in my opinion.
All those comedians are bad because they make people want to not have families, and he's against all that stuff.
Yeah,
because Christianity is okay.
About that, man.
It's okay if you give Christians power. That's fine.
No, Ian, it isn't.
No, it's not.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, a drum roll. That's right, a drum roll. The drums roll and I started talking. That's how it goes here on Free Talk Live.
Indeed.
Z Talk Live. Mm-hmm. Lots of Z's. 603-283-6160 is our telephone number.
By Z, do you mean the new combo between he and she? Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, it's like one of those new pronouns or something. Z.
Huh. I was referring to...
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. The sound somebody might make if they were asleep.
I
perhaps.
gotcha.
When they catch some of these things, or perhaps the previous caller would recognize Z papers, please.
If you weren't sure of his gender, you could say Z is asleep.
You could say that. Indeed, Z. Where was I? I was doing a show here somewhere. Where did
You
the
have
show
all kinds
go?
of things to talk about
I
here
did.
tonight. We were
have
talking about the company town.
We have
and
a caller
calls.
too,
Yeah.
and we should get to him. Hey, Chuck, you are on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you guys were just talking about the whole thing. I have a whole spiel I want to go off on, but if you're unsure about somebody's gender, you can just go ahead with "Hi, friends."
Sure.
That's always a good thing. But I wanted to rant about the attack on homeless right now that's happening on some cities on the West Coast. And let me clarify how I'm coming to you about this call. I'm a listener of KTOX out of Needles, California, which carries Free Talk Live.
Great station.
And I have become aware of an issue in a city in Bullhead City, Arizona, which is receiving this message right now from Free Talks Live. They are developing an ordinance, or they want to pass an ordinance which will basically make it impossible for service organizations to distribute food amongst the homeless population. And the way that they're going to do this is bring about a policy that requires $1 million plus
insurance.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So they're finding ways to, you can go ahead and feed the homeless, but it's going to cost you $1 million.
Wow.
That is just one of the lamest things I think I've ever heard. First, they shut down people in parks. Then they arrest people for actually feeding the homeless. And now they're going to make you carry $1 million of insurance to just hand some food to your fellow man.
Now, is this a proposal, did you say, or they have passed this?
No, this is a proposal. They're going to put this on the table for discussion at the next city council meeting in the city of Bullhead City, Arizona.
Well, if I were there, I would support if like an activist group went out to the city council meeting and handed out some sandwiches or soup or whatever. Just do it right out. Set up right out front.
Here's the problem, guys. I'm sorry, friends. Here's the problem, friends. If cities like Bullhead City want to do this and make it harder for the people who feel compelled to go out there and give service to the people who are downtrodden and homeless and mentally ill and everything, they're going to go ahead and go to their surrounding communities like Kingman, Arizona, and Golden Shores, Arizona, and all of these different places that surround that jurisdiction, and then go ahead and do their work there. So, all these cities like Longview, Washington, that want to go after, there was a mayor up there that wanted to go after people who were handing out clothing.
Right.
I mean, it's insane. But at the same time, we've got things like people who want to organize homeless groups and surround city halls at Aberdeen and Longview and different places to try to coerce the people to take action on the homeless issue. I don't know if we're really talking very much about that, to tell you the truth, about how ugly this whole problem is in America.
Just to clarify the situation, are you saying that this $1 million insurance policy would apply to not just, say, a public park, but also like a private location like a church?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is how
insane this is.
I was actually just going to mention that because I know in the city of Seattle, the largest mission there is church funded. And it occurs to me that churches probably don't have $1 million just sitting around, or the ability to get $1 million worth of insurance. for feeding people. And I'm
It's
not
ridiculous.
I'm not a religious person, but I recognize that charity is charity, and if you're in need, you should take it from wherever it comes. And churches do a lot of good charity.
Look, the answer isn't to just go to Kingman. I mean, that's one way that people can deal with this. But the best answer, in my opinion, is to refuse and disobey. And that's why I say I would go out if I were there with a group of people, and we'd be giving away sandwiches right out in front of the city council meeting and be like, what are you going to do about it? Go ahead, get it on video when they send the cops to arrest you or whatever. If they pass this thing, you go out and you do it again, and then get video when they send the cops to arrest you. They've done this. This has happened before. There was in Florida before we moved up to New Hampshire. This was probably like 2005 or something like that. In Florida, in Orlando, Food Not Bombs kept getting arrested for going and giving away food in a park in Orlando, Florida, and they just kept on coming back and kept on coming back. Then there was that old man, the pastor down in, I think it was like Fort Lauderdale or something, some beach town. He was like in his 80s. He got arrested for feeding people on the beach, and all of these things bring attention to these circumstances, and attention can bring money and donations. Attention can bring support. Attention can bring attorneys willing to donate their time just so they can get their name in the paper. But if all you do is you just crawl away and you go to Kingman, then you haven't done anything.
Yeah, one of the most effective ways to combat the state is to embarrass the state when they do stupid crap like this. Yep. Any other thoughts, Chuck?
Yeah. Well, I really hope that the members of the Bullhead City Council in Arizona there are listening to the Free Talk Live broadcast right now and really take it to heart. So do your research, everybody. I'm out.
Appreciate the call, Chuck.
And I hope we don't hear anything about that passing. That'd be a real shame if that happened.
Oh, yeah, because you know how it works. If it gets passed in one place, all the other places are going to be copycats. Monkey see, monkey do.
And this isn't about protecting the homeless, right? Because that's, I'm sure, how they're going to, well, we got to have an insurance policy. Somebody could get burned by the soup.
Somebody might burn their tongue or pour some hot coffee on their hand.
It's ridiculous. What they're talking about doing. And I understand, like, there is another side to this, and that is that, well, we don't want homeless people around because, they pee on things, right? They're not exactly the best. A lot of them aren't the best guests. You don't want to have them around. In a lot of cases, I get that. And that's part of the problem is public property, right? Because if you have public property,
also known as government property,
right? Government-run property, then everybody has a right, supposedly, to be there. So get rid of public property, get rid of tragedy of the commons, and let people decide who should come on their property and not.
Has the anti-homeless architecture been discussed here on Free Talk Live?
I know what you're talking about, like the benches that have like a spike in the middle or whatever so people can't lay on them.
They started deploying this in Seattle before I left, so I've seen this.
Give me an example.
In action. So there are some areas underneath some bridges. Seattle is a bunch of hills and mountains, so their street system is largely bridges. And so, of course, homeless people will find shelter wherever they can find it. Underneath a bridge, for example, instead of being flat, smooth concrete, they would build pyramids.
Yeah.
Little, one by one.
It would be very uncomfortable to try to
look
lay
like,
on that.
studs from like a 1980s leather jacket or something. But it would cover the entire area, not just under the bridge, but all of sort of the publicly owned or the government-owned area around it. In other places, they would have what looked like stalactites or stalagmites. I don't know, depending on where they're at. If they're hanging from above or if they're coming up from below, that are almost like spikes, right? But they're made out of like concrete or formed in some way, so that a guy can't lay down and sleep there. So it's disgusting that there is a thing called homeless or anti-homeless architecture in my book. 603-283-6160 are the 10 digits you need to get on this radio program. More coming up.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence, science, or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agrishosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agrishosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agrishosting.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Coinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Coinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Coinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever's on your mind. Our telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you would like to get on the airwaves, those are the digits you need. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And AnyPay 2.0 is here. Crypto payments are now faster than ever. If you're using Edge Wallet, Handcash, Bitcoin.com, or Dash Wallet, your experience should be smooth. But some wallets aren't yet ready for this impressive new technology. These wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible with AnyPay 2.0 and reach out to the wallet programmers to encourage them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. anypayinc.com/upgrade. We were talking about this article from mynews4.com, where in Nevada there's a proposed bill that essentially would allow tech companies to become governments. And Governor Sisolak, who is sponsoring this bill, named Blockchains LLC as a company that had committed to developing a smart city in an area east of Reno after this legislation has passed.
Now, I mean, this is an interesting proposal. I'm critical of it.
Yes.
But it's an interesting proposal. I don't know what the details are going to be, and I suspect the devil is in them. However, on its face, I'm not opposed to the idea of, okay, this entity wants to carve out a portion, because it said earlier in the story that it would be treated as essentially a county.
Right.
So, well, there's already counties all across Nevada.
Right.
So what essentially they're proposing is that some company come in. Now, I don't know if it's restricted to big tech or if it's just any corporation, but some company wants to come in, buy a piece of land, and essentially carve it out from that county, meaning that it wouldn't owe taxes to that county. That's a big question mark that I have.
Right.
Because if that's the case, you better believe the counties are going to rally against this.
Right.
They are not going to want to lose. You know, if Facebook is going to relocate their campus, as they call these places, from wherever they are, San Francisco or Seattle or wherever Facebook is, and relocate it to Nevada, then whatever county it is that they were going to relocate to is not going to want to lose that potential tax revenue.
Well, this article says the Governor's Office of Economic Development would oversee applications for the zones, which would be limited to companies working in specific business areas.
Favoritism.
Yes, including blockchain, autonomous technology, the Internet of Things, robotics, artificial intelligence, wireless, biometrics, and renewable resource technology.
That alone sounds to me like it is, unconstitutional. I mean, they're playing favorites. It's pretty obvious. And
well, I mean, we see this all the time. Seattle, Washington, of course, gives huge discounts to places like Boeing. On taxation and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but they're doing things like waiving the property tax for some number of years, or waiving some other business tax or whatever for some number of years. But then that runs out in almost all those cases.
Well, this says zone requirements would include applicants owning at least 78 square miles of undeveloped, uninhabited land within a single county, but separate from any city, town, or tax increment area.
Okay.
Companies would have to have at least $250 million and plans to invest an additional $1 billion in their zones over 10 years. The zones would initially operate with the oversight of their location counties, but would eventually take over county duties and become independent governmental bodies.
If that's true, then they shouldn't owe money to the counties in that case.
The zones would have 3-member supervisor boards with the same powers as county commissioners. The businesses would maintain significant control over board membership.
Okay, but what's the actual benefit to this? I mean, are they going to be able to have more economic freedom? Because this sort of on its face sounds like the ZETA or the ZA, the economic zones that exist around the country that Mark, our co-host, is currently obsessed with and has been for several years. He's been traveling around the world looking at these different islands.
Trying to find a place where a man can be free.
Well, he's trying to find a place where they can carve out one of these special economic zones. And generally with these special economic zones...
special?
With the special economic zones, there's supposedly like a benefit. And the benefit is if you get one of these things granted to you, then the government that's granting it is supposedly backing off, and they're saying, oh, well, normally we would regulate your businesses, but nope, we're not going to do that because this is a special economic zone.
Right.
It's like having a get-out-of-my-hair-free card.
What benefits would be, would these companies get from this, besides that they can now tax or that they can now run a policing system or whatever?
I don't know the answer to your question, but what I do know is that businesses, that is the market, generally speaking, even such as they are, corporations obviously are a state construct, and I disagree with the construct of corporations, but the market generally is far more innovative than the state is.
This is true.
So I would hope that at a minimum they would be sort of epicenters of innovation.
They could be.
I don't know that I'm a fan of states trying to sponsor these, quote, smart cities, unquote. I would prefer these smart cities, rise up of their own volition. But
a corporation would never do that, because a corporation owes its existence to the state, because they've asked for the state's blessing. They didn't want to just do business without asking permission. So they went and they asked permission, so now they're owned lock, stock, and barrel, and they have to obey. I mean, this is interesting. I'm curious to see what the application is going to be like, as far as like how are they going to use this? Because you're right, they could offer some different things. If they're in charge of their own roads, then maybe we'd see some innovation in road upkeep or whatever.
I mean,
maybe we.
Can you name the last innovation in roads?
No.
Can you name any innovation in roads?
No, because it's always been controlled by the state. Okay, LED lights and the stoplights. But that's not really a road innovation.
That's not a road innovation, right? Yeah, it's an LED, it's a light bulb innovation.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't driven by the road industry, though.
Because I'm fascinated by this particular topic, I have another article from MSN.com.
Mm-hmm.
In Nevada deserts, Blockchains LLC aims to be its own municipal government. This is specifically about blockchains.
Which I have not heard of, so I'm curious to what exactly that is. I mean, we know what a blockchain is.
Right.
So
now, I thought it was Blockchain LLC, which...
it's plural, apparently.
Right, but this is plural, so I'm not familiar with this specific company. But
right. This is not blockchain.com, the same company that has offered Bitcoin wallets for a decade. It's not the same company.
And it's not Blockstream.
Right. In the Nevada desert, a cryptocurrency magnate hopes to turn dreams of a futuristic smart city into reality. To do that, he's asking the state to let companies like his form local governments on land they own, which would grant them power over everything from schools to law enforcement. Jeffrey Burns, B-E-R-N-S, not Mr. Burns from, like, The Simpsons. Excellent, Smithers, excellent. CEO of Nevada-based Blockchains LLC, envisions a city where people not only purchase goods and services with digital currency, but also log their entire online footprint, financial statements, medical records, and personal data on the blockchain. Blockchain is a digital ledger known mostly for recording cryptocurrency transactions, but also has been adopted by some local governments for everything from documenting marriage licenses to facilitating elections. And I might add, does a far better job than any government entity has ever done at any of those things.
And these guys would get the chance to prove their claim. If this were allowed to happen, then they would be able to have their blockchain elections, and they'd be able to have their blockchain document services and such.
The company wants to break ground by 2022. In rural Story County, 12 miles east of Reno. It's proposing to build 15,000 homes and 33 million square feet of commercial and industrial space within 75 years. Burns, whose idea is the basis for the draft legislation that some lawmakers saw behind closed doors last week, said traditional government doesn't offer enough flexibility to create a community where people can invent new uses for this technology.
It's an interesting proposal.
It is. 603-283-6160. Do you like the idea of a blockchain city? More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Millions in its path. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Snow, ice, and bitter cold in much of the middle of the country.
Detroit is eyeing down its first big blizzard of the winter.
We think we're going to get 6 to 10 inches of snow, supposed to stop sometime tomorrow morning.
Mayor Mike Duggan, hundreds of plows and salt trucks are out citywide with over a foot of blowing snow also possible through Tuesday in Chicago.
This is an all-hands-on-deck moment. And we are ready.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot, temperatures in Minneapolis also for the first time in over 30 years have failed to climb past zero for a fourth day straight, with continuing wind chill and winter storm warnings and advisories across the central part of the U.S. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
In Texas, they're dealing with rolling blackouts as the state deals with frigid weather, snow, and ice.
We are working with critical facilities like hospitals and other critical locations to ensure that the access to those facilities remains open.
Juan Ortiz with Austin's Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in Houston. Medical personnel scrambled to administer thousands of doses of COVID-19 vaccine after a storage facility lost power. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is under fire for underreporting COVID-19 nursing home deaths by as much as 50%, according to a member of his staff, continues to defend its policy to send COVID-positive patients into nursing homes.
COVID did not get into the nursing homes by people coming from hospitals. COVID got into the nursing homes by staff walking into the nursing home when we didn't even know we had COVID.
The governor had asked President Trump for additional hospital beds and a hospital ship at the start of the pandemic in the U.S. Those facilities were largely unused. America is listening to Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
The push to recall California Governor Gavin Newsom is gaining steam.
Some of the signatures will obviously be thrown out, so they need that closer to 2 million just to be safe. But with 30 days left to collect those, it is fair to say a recall vote in California looks likely probably midsummer. But beating Governor Newsom is something else. Just 25% of voters in California are Republican. 54% of voters in January approved of Newsom's performance. And major Democrats are united behind him. Newsom's problems, spreading homeless population, lockdowns that put many small businesses out of business, and a rising crime rate. That sanctuary state that critics say used COVID as a cover to release thousands of inmates.
Fox's William Lajeunesse, about 1.5 million signatures are needed by March 17th to hold the recall vote. Security forces in Burma again pointing guns at protesters and attacking them with sticks as the country's military coup is now in its third week. The house arrest of leader Aung San Suu Kyi has also been extended. A deal has been struck to sell an iconic American gun manufacturing company.
For 175 years, Colt has been an American company, but that's coming to an end. A Czech gun maker has announced an agreement to buy the parent company of Colt's manufacturing, the Connecticut-based company whose revolver is part of American history. The Hartford Courant says Colt, which had at one time fallen on difficult financial times, is now expected to generate $500 million in revenue. The deal is subject to the approval of U.S. regulators and is expected to close in the second quarter ending June 3rd.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Are you a helpless moron perplexed by the world? Wish there was a device that enabled you to consult the Onion Book of Known Knowledge anytime, anywhere? Then you need the Bookbjorn, the amazing new wearable invention that makes you and the Onion Book of Known Knowledge inseparable. Never again be stumped by the panoply of bizarre objects filling your field of vision. Never take it off. Never be without it. All this for just 4 easy payments of $39.93. The Bookbjorn. The Bookbjorn. And if you call now, you'll receive the special page-turning wand. Turn pages with the greatest of ease. The special reading light to wrench knowledge from utter darkness. The book umbrella to protect the Onion Book of Known Knowledge's precious pages from the elements. Bookbjorn. This $800 value can be yours today. Send a check or money order to the Bookbjorn, care of the Zwiebel Center for Knowledge Studies, 15 Zwiebel Way, Macau, China. Do not hesitate. Buy now. The Bookbjorn.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The phones are packed. 603-283-6160. If you'd like to try and get on the air with us, we'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Ian.
And the Lego that authority steps on.
What is the Lego known as?
Nobody.
Oh, very nice. And we've been talking about this article, well, a couple of articles, actually. One from mynews4.com, which talks about the bill being proposed in Nevada to allow tech companies to become governments. And then a separate article from MSN.com talking specifically about the company Blockchains LLC aiming to become its own government in Nevada. So they're related stories. And we'll talk more about these articles. But first, let's go to Reverend Ratspeed. Reverend, you are on Free Talk Live.
Evening, everyone.
Oh, you sound great.
I have a
Thank you. I have a lot to say about what's going on. So I have been following along with what Blockchains LLC has been doing for approximately the last 3 years.
Okay.
Blockchains, so some background. Blockchains LLC was started by a couple of brothers. One of them is an attorney, brokerage attorney, consumer protections attorney. He was the person who defended Coinbase against the IRS when the IRS was trying to probe and get everyone's records from that. So he was working on behalf of crypto consumers and crypto banks. After that, they put a stop on his accounts. They prevented him from being able to use his assets. And so he decided instead of trying to sue the IRS, he would create his own crypto bank.
Okay.
On top of that, an undisclosed number of crypto magnates who are all part of this consortium that's being put together decided we need to have our own playground. We need to have a sandbox out in the desert to make our own city. So they started searching around and they picked the place exactly where Tesla, Google, Switch, and all of the major players out there in Story County are putting their companies. And in early 2018, they purchased the entire the remaining amount of the 175 square miles of Story County.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sorry. It was for $175 million cash lump sum, and it was for 150 square miles.
Okay.
Not just in Story County, but also part of Lyon County as well, which all belonged to someone named Lance Gilman, who owns the Mustang Ranch and owned all of the property that he purchased from an elderly ranch owner over 10 years ago and has been preparing for industrial development for a long time. He went ahead and put a new U.S. highway in, or state highway. It's called USA Parkway. It's anyone that works at the Gigafactory knows that's the road that you get to go to work every day. And so same thing for all of these other companies. So they purchased this amount in cash from Lance Gilman for $175 million. And they retained Lance Gilman as an advisor and part of their marketing department for 2018 and 19. I'm not sure what happened after that.
Yeah.
And they had been planning this city. I heard about this city through rumors from Max Kaiser from Russia Today.
Yeah, the Kaiser report, right.
Yeah, that Kaiser report, exactly. Back when it was just rumors, quote unquote rumors. So I've been paying attention to this. This is
Ratspeed, is this guy that's one of the major guys that you said bought a bank, wanted to make a crypto bank? Was this the guy who bought the 2-location small chain bank in Las Vegas a couple of years ago?
I don't remember the name of the bank, but I remember that he mentioned it during the keynote presentation that was made in November of 2018. You can go on YouTube. It's an hour-long presentation, kind of floofy, but basically it's showing what they want to do out there. They're basically going to make a city.
In the article, the guy's name is Jeffrey Burns, the CEO.
Jeffrey Burns. And his brother's also named Burns. I can't remember his last name, but there's an entire team
Mr.
that they put together.
Burns, is it?
This company purchased several different underground nuclear-proof bunkers to place around the world to place their cryptocurrency computers in the case of a major physical disaster.
Oh, like EMP right? I got you. Yeah.
They're also going to be putting one of these bunkers under the TRIC, I assume, because that's going to be like one of their major hubs. And the idea behind this is to get away from get away from the original idea of governments, which is it's based on physical location, and put everything through Ethereum decentralized apps. In other words, all of the smart contract stuff that you hear about, where you don't have to have a centralized government, this is the place that they're going to be doing the headquarters stuff. And they have been having developers from all around the world.
And apparently they lined the pockets of the governor to get him to propose this, right?
This is where things get interesting.
And before you go on, so I did check. Jeffrey Burns is the guy behind the acquisition of the Kirkwood Bank of Nevada, which happened a couple of years ago. He was a $28 million acquisition.
Excellent.
The bank has two. When I looked into it, the bank has 2 locations, and it's very interesting.
Right.
So this whole thing, hang on a minute. This whole thing reminds me a lot of. Are you guys familiar with the Garbage Warrior?
I don't think so.
The guy who builds the Earth ships. Right, so
I've heard of Earth ships.
He developed Earth ships. Earth ships are just houses made out of, well, everyday recyclable materials and dirt that are also completely self-sufficient. In other words, they operate on solar, they operate on gravity, they recycle all of their water, you grow all your own food, it's got its own built-in greenhouse, etc., and so on. This guy who you can just do a search for Earth ships and find, the guy's name escapes me off the top of my head, but they had to fight with, I believe it was New Mexico, maybe it was Arizona, to get themselves a special zone to work on their houses, because the state came in and said, hey, you're a subdivision and you have to comply with all these crazy rules because they're building all these experimental houses. This reminds me exactly of that, because the next sentence in this article says, there's got to be a place somewhere on this planet where people are willing to just start from scratch and say, we're not going to do things this way just because it's the way we've always done it, Burns said. And that reminds me of exactly a bit from the Garbage Warrior, because he's like, where can we go to innovate?
There has been so much movement in the background with very little press for the last 3 years. And they have been signing papers and making deals. There's going to be, I assume, I'm going to just it's going to blow up. There's going to be a big water rights dispute between them and the Paiute tribe very soon, because what they're going to be doing is diverting
Paiute tribe?
The Paiute tribe. Paiute, actually. I'm sorry. It's the Upper Paiute. They were the native. It's a conglomeration of different tribes, but they have a reservation which surrounds Pyramid Lake. And they have been very fierce at protecting their water rights. And they just purchased blockchain. They purchased a very large amount of water rights in November and got finalized in December from a farm that's north of the Paiute tribe area. I'm anticipating there's going to be a big standoff regarding that, and it's probably going to be held up in court. That's one of the reasons why I think they're trying to get county rights. They're trying to position themselves to be able to have their own government, not just for the innovation aspect of it, but also, this entire bill is essentially tailored specifically for this company. You have to have a minimum of 50,000 acres and all of the amount of money that you were just talking about to be able to do this. And to answer your question, Ian, about the types of technology, a few of the different articles here say a technology park for the advancement of artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and nanotechnology, all integrated into a blockchain-based system. What they're looking to do is...
So now you just have to have billions before you start innovating.
The bar of entry is so high. This company is essentially the only one that's going to be able to apply for it. It's kind of
it's probably going to get struck down, I would think, because of that in court. But I'm no attorney.
That's the interesting thing about the state of Nevada. There's so much more to talk about.
Can he stay?
You want to stay on, Reverend?
Sure. Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Hold on. I'm just going to mute you, and we'll bring you back. This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. We'll talk more about this blockchain city.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
According to a new report, the vast majority of Americans simply want to be safe, happy, rich, comfortable, entertained, thin, and romantically fulfilled. The Onion spoke to a few of the survey's respondents who also claimed they want to be healthy, fulfilled, and successful and energized at all times.
All I want is a low-stress job, a nice house, affordable health care, and low gas prices, you know? It'd be nice to have a 35-hour work week, delicious food that's actually good for me, strong friendships, and free high-speed Wi-Fi wherever I go.
I think I'm entitled to wealth, love, cheap education, a fair legal process.
According to the survey, 63% of all Americans want their summers to be hot but not too hot. 85% want the government to stop all wars, end world hunger, and make quick and easy weight loss possible. 93% want to be emotionally satisfied, plus a soulmate, unconditional love from their parents, and a big happy dog.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at MyMagicMud.com. FTL20, MyMagicMud.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. That is the telephone number here in studio at Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Ian.
And nobody.
And let's just go right back to Reverend Ratspeed, who's been filling us in. He's been following the adventures of Blockchains LLC and their attempt to get Nevada to grant them not only a special innovation zone, but also allow them to become something of their own government.
Yes, and I suspect a lot of the reason why they want to create their own government is because governments, as they stand today, do not reflect the potential that decentralized cryptocurrency or blockchain technology can offer to create contracts, to settle disputes, to
and
do
they're
all
not
these things,
going to
keep record.
anytime soon, because governments don't change. They don't change quickly in any way, shape, or form. It could take decades before you could convince some bureaucracy that, hey, you ought to try this blockchain thing.
But can blockchains murder people in sufficient quantity to survive as a government? Because it takes a lot of murder to be a government.
Blockchains don't kill people, people kill people.
It's true.
It's interesting if you think about it, because everyone's medical records and criminal records and everything will be kept on the blockchain. It will be kept in a series of computers. So if you think about that, it could be, Big Brother's best, wet dream.
Right.
There was a link that I just put into the Element server, or the Matrix server, that it was a very good and detailed argument, that article that This Is Reno, which is a local newspaper, put in just a couple of days ago, that goes into some of the details regarding what they want to do with blockchain and how they would be planning on using it. It kind of has, I don't mean to be cynical, but this could either be really good or really bad.
Right.
When you have the total amount of information that blockchain can store and keep it in a way that cannot be erased and essentially is nuke proof. If anyone's watched Fight Club, Tyler Durden would never be able to get away with me blowing up a few buildings to get rid of everyone's records that way.
Right. Yeah.
So
everybody's concern here should be privacy, right? There are advantages to using the blockchain for your data. It's just a question of who has access to that data. If it is kept to the individual, in other words, if I get my keys to my data on the blockchain, then okay, cool. But if this is a marriage between traditional government and blockchain technology, this could get evil really quick. Reverend, I had a question for you. Are you familiar with the concept that some companies have had? I followed a company that apparently is no longer around, called BitNation. They had DVBNs, or decentralized borderless virtual nations. The idea was that you could belong to a nation that didn't have any geographic location, and then you could assumably become a nation of one, and that type of a thing. Are you familiar with that concept?
Not only that, yes, I am, but I'm familiar with. I don't know about that particular organization.
Sure, there were several organizations. That's the one I just happened to follow.
I even remember in the late 90s seeing an article pointing to a website that is long gone, talking about a bunch of people wanting to put their nationality as part of a computer network on a desert island in the Pacific. So this idea has been around for a long time, to try to to detether yourself from physical location.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the idea was that
anything to escape government.
Right. The idea was that you could then sort of purchase governance service, not government, but governance.
Wait, you can pay them to enslave you? What if I don't want their service?
Things like access to roadways, things like, all of the governments do provide
roadways are
products and services.
Government services.
Hang on, nobody.
There's parking lots all over the world.
Governments do provide products and services. They just do so at the behest of a gun, and even if you don't want or need them, you're forced to pay for them.
Right.
What the concept of the decentralized borderless virtual nations is that now you would be able to only purchase those products and services which you need that were traditionally
but that means
provided.
They're not government services. They're just services.
Of course, yes.
It's only a government service if you have to buy it when you don't want it.
Go ahead, Reverend.
So I want to mention something. Nevada is a very interesting state. There are very comparatively, compared to especially like California, which is right next door, there are comparatively very few state laws compared to other states surrounding it. It's primarily been left to county legislation. So to want to be on the level of a county government, by creating this so-called innovation space, really gives any particular company a lot of power, including a lot. You have to obey certain traffic laws that are, state controlled. If you're on a private parking lot, it belongs, the statute doesn't even apply. And so, there's lots of, Nevada's a very interesting place.
Yeah.
It's primarily because this was the last refuge for the Wild West. This is where the Bundy standoff happened a few years ago. Story County has a very interesting history. If you look at a map of Nevada, and you look at Story County.
Story.
This is where Virginia City and the Storm.
One guy bought it, so it's his story.
Right. The Comstock lode in the mid 19th century, and Nevada City, in Virginia City, is where one of the largest caches of gold was discovered, and the people that made their millions off of that lode are the people who founded San Francisco. So this is very ironic that history is sort of repeating itself. This is the same county, the same state, and you could really consider it the same group of people 150 years later, creating this new form of gold rush.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think about this guy? I mean, is this guy a libertarian who's behind this?
He's a business person. So he says he's on the side of consumer privacy and protection. He has a lot of different clients that he is representing. And I mean, think about it. $175 million cash lump sum paid. Who paid for that? Who put their money into that?
I mean, could have been this one guy. I mean, maybe he's really Bitcoin wealthy.
I'm speculating that it was probably a stakeholder situation.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. So he came from California. His law office originally was in Thousand Oaks, which is essentially North Hollywood. It's right next to Century City, and so he came from California. So this has a lot of bases in.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm glad you've been keeping an eye on it. I hope that you'll be able to let us know how this develops.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Reverend. Great information, and please keep following the way you have, because I am just now hearing about this, and I'm glad that you had such a dearth of information to share with us. 603-283-6160 is the phone number here at Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too,
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated,
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. The telephone number to the studio is 603-283-6160. There might be time for you to get on. We've got a couple calls on hold, and we'll get to those momentarily. I wanted to tell you that you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Fork Fest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest happens the week after Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Fork Fest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for Forkfest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the Forkfest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. All right, moving right along, let's go to Mr. Ridley calling from New Hampshire. You are on Free Talk Live.
I wanted to post a public notice and or warning about Binance.
Go ahead.
What is Binance?
Binance is probably, to my knowledge, the biggest centralized cryptocurrency exchange.
That's my understanding as well. They have their own coin, do they not?
They have more than one.
Binance coin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. And I've been pleased with them in the past. However, I sent them some Binance coin to try and change it into something else and send it to Binance to exchange it and then take it off of Binance immediately if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it never arrived, or it was never shown as a deposit. And it shows up in the blockchain as a successful transaction, but it doesn't show up on my Binance account. So not the end of the world. I contacted customer support about 3 days ago, and they have still not gotten back to me with a human.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long has it been?
Now, I have contacted them actually 3 times total. I tried not to start a second support ticket because they ask you not to do that.
Right. How long has this one been open?
The support ticket is 3 days old now.
Okay.
And after sending it once, they got back to me with an auto response.
Right.
It was just a form letter, which doesn't really count for anything. And then I responded to the form letter, and then I contacted their PR department, and I told them I'm starting to publicize my concerns.
Right.
Is this Binance.com or Binance.us? Because they also have a U.S. subsidiary.
Correct. It's Binance.com. I just found out now, recently, like in the last day or two, that apparently they've started doing something to U.S. users.
Yeah, they're banning U.S. users.
If they're doing something to me because I'm a U.S. user, or
well, I'll tell you this: they told me that they were going to ban my account because I was a U.S. user, and I wrote them an email, and the sort of the generic response that I got from them after a couple of days was, well, we're really loaded up with things, support requests, and so if you really think this is important, you should contact us. So it's like they just have like an initial filter of just letting people fall off the radar before, they come back to you and actually maybe respond to your request. But yeah, this is definitely a problem with centralized authorities, right? Is the bigger they get, the more comfortable they get, and in this case, they're not giving you good service. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, well, eventually we can start using decentralized exchanges, but the coin that I needed was not on a decentralized exchange. I had to get it through a centralized exchange, and it's not like I was just leaving money there or something. I was for following the proper protocols and safety, And the other thing is that I didn't receive any kind of notice from Binance. I looked back through my old emails. I couldn't find any notice from them that they were going to change things so that you had to start a new account or something like that if you were in the United States. This is, alien to me and all news. But maybe I missed something. It's conceivable they sent me an email that I missed. But I just, it just seems, it's just, the other thing is, like you said, it was really difficult to find the customer service, even an email to contact. It took me 10 minutes to figure out where I was supposed to send an email, and so it's sudden frustration with an organization I had been happy with.
The exchanges are getting as bad as the banks.
Yeah, I love the idea of the decentralized exchanges. That seems to be the way of the future, but it's not quite here yet. There's some of them out there that only allow the exchanging of what they call Ethereum tokens, which isn't particularly useful.
Right.
And then there's
especially since Ethereum is too expensive to use.
Yeah, there's that too. And that's my main thought is, Dave, you did send enough of a fee with this Ethereum transaction?
I guess. I mean, I just sent it from the Exodus wallet.
Yeah.
Exodus, by the way, has been completely awesome and has fantastic customer support.
Well, if you're talking with Exodus's customers,
they held my hand for 2 weeks until it was fixed.
That's great. That's great. Exodus is pretty great. I wish they just allowed for payments through AnyPay. So if you're still talking with their customer support, you ought to ask them if they can take AnyPay payments or change their wallet so that they can actually make AnyPay payments from the Exodus wallet. That'd be really cool.
I gotta say, I wish AnyPay still took payments from normal standard wallets rather than requiring people to change their wallets to deal with AnyPay.
Yeah, well, the problem there was, nobody, that if you do it the old way, it creates all kinds of opportunities for people to screw things up. So if you've ever dealt with customers before, they screw things up all the time, and you can't put them in charge of pretty much anything. And so the way it used to work was you'd get a QR code, you get a code from the vendor, the merchant, as a customer, and it would have a request in it for whatever amount of dollars worth of, let's say, Bitcoin Cash. But the problem is, if the customer was like, oh, well, I wanted to change this amount to 2 cents less for whatever reason, it didn't come up exactly right in my wallet because they don't know the difference between exchanges and different exchange rates and all that. Without getting too complicated here, it allowed for customers to edit the amount, and then that resulted in missed payments and incomplete payments. And, of course, that results in all kinds of customer support requests that no one has time to deal with. I mean, small companies don't have much time to deal with customer support requests if they're running around and they've got a ton of things to do.
Right.
It'd be better to not have them. I'm not making an excuse for Binance here, but we certainly shouldn't be surprised when mega corporations treat us like every other mega corporation.
Agreed.
Well, I don't know. Walmart has never mistreated me to speak of. Many of the big companies that I've dealt with over the years, Steam has been awesome for all this time. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of big companies that don't abuse their power. And maybe my communications have just fallen through the cracks and they'll get back to me and fix this, in which case, no huge deal. Yeah. But it feels really ugly.
Yep. Well, keep your eye on it and keep us informed, because I'd like to know how this turns out, Mr. Ridley, and we appreciate the call tonight.
Sometimes you can have better luck through other means. So if he's sending an email, he may want to try like the online chat. Some websites get the little blurb down in the bottom, the little bubble. You click on that, and then it lets you wait in a queue until you can actually get a human.
Yep.
And some of them actually will tell you how many humans are waiting before you get to yours, basically. So that can help in some circumstances.
Yep. Some companies will have multiple email addresses for their support system, particularly as they grow. And we know that within the space of cryptocurrency anyway, that some of these companies grow pretty quick.
I mean, I don't envy Binance in their position. It's no easy matter to have to deal with the mountainous support requests. Also, remember what happened in 2017 when there was a ton of interest in Bitcoin when it spiked up the first time?
Yeah,
well, that's happening again. Back then, exchanges couldn't deal with the growth, so they literally stopped accepting new customers. They couldn't handle it.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101. If it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the show. It is Free Talk Live, the Monday night edition. You probably won't be able to get on tonight, but for future reference, the telephone number here is 603-283-6160. We are on 7 nights a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Really all the time. Occasionally we'll be off doing something and you might find a pre-recorded broadcast, but it's a very rare exception. Other than that, 7 nights a week, 365 days a year, you will find us here on the radio at Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Yeah, it's Ian.
And nobody.
And do you have anything more to say about the blockchain cities? I mean,
it's interesting. But we've got calls.
We do. And let's just go ahead and get to those calls right now. Let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on Ian's comment about public versus private property, but I'm going to save that for another night because you had that caller call in about the Jewish issues. And I wrote some notes, and so I'm going to follow them. First of all, people should know that my father escaped Nazi Germany as a small child with his mother and his sister and went to South America, and then years later were sponsored into the United States. And my eldest child is Jewish because her mother is Jewish. And then, so moving on, Scott the Bigot, I heard him on Rush 2 times so far, and on Levin, and on Bill Cunningham, and he usually lasts, I've timed it, about 18 seconds, but he did manage to get his whole spiel out on Rush the other day because of Rush's hearing problem.
That's funny because I had to dump him the other night because he decided to violate the FCC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
the
hear that one.
FCC violates us.
Well, that's true, but you know what I'm saying.
Fair is fair. But and regarding Scott, I find him to be mostly factually correct, without commenting on other aspects of it. But factually, he's got some facts that I consider to be correct. So moving on, it's considered legitimate concern when we have, for instance, in business or government or any other power structure, men over women. The population is 50-50, but men have traditionally been the vast majority in those power positions. Same with whites over non-whites, Protestants over Catholics. And Jews are, to my last figure that I've researched, 2% approximately of the population. But in things that I've studied, I've seen them to be 20, 30% or even more of power structures and various things. Here's one good, for instance. I just looked at, I noticed the Trump impeachment thing. The people that were going against Trump in the first and the second impeachments combined, you have Chuck Schumer, Jamie Raskin, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, Noah Feldman, Pamela Karlan, Alexander Vindman, Yevgeny Vindman, Lev Parnas, Igor Fruman, Gordon Sondland, Marie Yovanovitch, Bill Kristol, Brad Sherman, and Volodymyr Zelensky is the one that got started, the president of the Ukraine. They're all Jewish, so that's just one example of what I'm talking about how they're often overrepresented in lots of powerful things.
How do you know? Comment on this, no, I'm sorry, David. How do you know? And when you are speaking of somebody being Jewish, are you talking about the ethnicity? Or are you talking about the religion? And how do you know, like, what qualifies somebody as Jewish? Is it a 50%? Is it 20%? These are questions that I have.
I mean, believing 50% or 20% of the religious nonsense?
Well, I mean, like of the ethnicity, right?
Oh.
Because there's two different things.
Let me answer your question, because I spent time researching it so that I'm not mislabeling somebody. And most of these people, if not all of them, I would venture to say that all of them would describe themselves as being Jewish or coming from a predominantly Jewish background, is how I would answer your question. But to move on with my last part of this is that my feelings on this whole thing is that, for instance, I literally feel actual fear of, if I were to think about putting a Trump anything on my vehicle or on my person, I would fear getting sucker punched, or I would fear getting my tires flattened or windows broken or firebombed, whatever, literally. And that's a form of tyranny. And for decades, I have self-censored literally any even legitimate criticisms if I thought the person was Jewish, because I feared being labeled as an anti-Semite, which I see frequently happened. And like I've already said, that I consider these things just like when you fear your government, that's tyranny. When you fear a certain population, when you're simply trying to legitimately, in your own eyes, criticize something that a certain group is doing, but you fear being labeled as something, like, for instance, on NPR, for instance, the Trump supporters are literally labeled as racist and white supremacists, all of them. So anyway.
Yeah, there are dangers in labeling a group of people anything, right? If you say all of this group of people are this, well, I mean, that's impossible to be correct. And I want to ask you too, David, when you speak of, these people in power, and whatever proportion you found, 20% or 30% in your research, are you talking about people who are religious Jewish or ethnic Jewish? Because there's a difference. I personally have this, I like, as a comedian, I will make fun of the religion of the Jewish folks, as well as Christians, as well as Buddhists, as well as, you name the religion, I'll make fun of it because I'm a comedian. But I'm curious as to which of these you are speaking of.
Well, I addressed that earlier, and the way I described it is, if you ask these people themselves, they would consider themselves to be "quote unquote" Jewish, and whether they were basing it on a religion that they practice, or a religion that they were born into, or an ethnicity that they were born into, it would be one of those. I didn't discriminate against one of those categories over another. I included them all.
Okay. Thanks for the call.
According to Wikipedia, the Semitic religions include Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Why do people always say anti-Semitic when they're talking about anti-Jewish? Isn't that what they actually mean? Like you said it earlier, anti-Semitic.
See, I don't know. I always heard of Semitic as being a language group, which includes both Hebrew and Arabic.
Well, I was asking the caller if he indeed was anti-Semitic.
I know that.
Right.
But by that, a lot of people usually mean, are you against Jewish people? But that's not what anti-Semitic actually means.
Right. Well, I just wanted to see if the caller identified himself as an anti-Semite.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because some people will be like, yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Some people will be like, no, I'm not. Right. So I just wanted, because he was saying a lot of words, and I just wanted to know where he self-identified. Mm-hmm. But you're correct on your definition.
Yeah.
Cantwell would definitely identify as an anti-Semite, I think.
I think I don't know him like at all, really. So other than I've heard a couple of episodes when he was on the radio. So I don't know, but I would imagine somebody like that, would.
Yeah. See, I got his whole spiel. I interviewed him for like 3 hours, and I ended up telling him, well, it sounds to me like you think Jews are superior, and I think you should marry a Jewish woman and have some puppies.
I bring up the difference between the ethnicity and the religion because, anybody can become part of the Jewish religion.
Mm-hmm.
You got to jump through the hoops, of course, and dance the dance, and whatever the.
Is there a dance?
They have steps you have to go through to become part of their faith, right? And so I think it's always important to clarify these things with people when they're talking about them. David was reluctant to clarify his position on it, other than to say he thinks they would identify themselves as Jewish. Well, that didn't really answer the question. The question was, ethnic or religious. Now, sometimes it's both, right? You can be an ethnic Jew and a religious Jew. But you can also
why does it matter? I mean, what people are doing, that matters.
Right.
The fact that they have a common religion or some subset of them has a common religion or a common ethnic background, who cares? There are Italian mafias, there are Armenian mafias, and I mention that because my father's Armenian. There is certainly one of the nastiest, bloodiest mafias in the world, is run mostly by WASPs, and it's called the U.S. government.
Yeah.
So,
define WASPs for our
white Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Thank you.
So I don't know why it matters what group somebody hails from. I think it matters what they're doing.
These are religions, a lot of whom have been sort of fighting each other for a long time, and actually fighting each other for a long time. So the guy that called earlier, not David, but the one prior to him, he was fine with Christians having all the power in the world.
Right.
He didn't care about power. He only wanted it to not be in the hands of the religions he disagrees with.
Yeah, these people are just looking for somebody to hate, in my opinion.
Maybe I don't get it because I think they're all nuts.
They are.
We are out of time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're here, again, 7 nights a week. If you missed any of our program, please visit archive.freetalklive.com. Thanks. Peace.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you